the weekly sessions are not a good match for couples on average, because when couples first reach out for help, they're bleeding, right? I mean, it's a crisis, it's an emergency. One of them is on the brink of divorce. Couples usually don't reach out for help until they're at that stage. So then, considering they're at that stage, and then for them to just come in once a week for 45 minutes was just scratching the surface. We're just barely getting going, and now you have to wait 7 days.
This episode is brought to you by TherapyNotes, TherapyNotes.com. And also, this episode is supported by Wealth and Worth Within, and you can find them at wealthworthwithin.com. For the past 20 plus years, I've been working in the mental health field as a licensed therapist, private practice owner, coach, and consultant. And I've learned a lot the hard way, and I don't think you need to do the same. Hi there, I'm Gordon Brewer, and welcome to the Practice of Therapy podcast, part of the PsychCraft network of podcasts. Whether you're just starting out, expanding your practice, or looking for fresh inspiration, this podcast is here to support you in your journey. Each week, we explore the real-world challenges and opportunities that come with building and growing your private practice. From marketing and money management to ethics, client care, and self-care, we cover it all. You'll hear from leading experts, seasoned clinicians, and innovative voices in the mental health and allied health fields, all sharing their insights and strategies to help you thrive in your practice. So let's jump in and get to today's episode of the Practice of Therapy podcast. And welcome to the podcast. This is episode number 423 of the Practice of Therapy podcast. I'm your host, Gordon Brewer, and so glad you've joined me for this particular episode. Looking forward to you hearing from my guest, Dr. Wyatt Fisher. And Dr. Fisher is a therapist out in Colorado, and he has created a really cool model of providing couples therapy. And he's been doing this for quite a while, and love for you to hear his story and how he has developed what he's developed. We had a great conversation just talking about couples work and the ways in which he is doing intensives. So looking forward to you hearing from that particular, this particular interview. And before we get to that, though, if you're interested in working with me doing some consulting or coaching, I'd love to have that conversation with you. And if you'll just go over to the website, practiceoftherapy.com, you can find out more about the coaching and consulting services that I offer. So be sure and check it out. And also, before we get to my conversation with Dr. Wyatt Fisher, love for you to hear from our sponsors of the podcast. Hi, everyone. I want to take a moment to tell you about a resource that's been really valuable for most business owners who want to level up their financial game. If you're looking to improve your financial knowledge and actually understand what's happening with your business money, you need to check out the CEO Financial Clarity Corner podcast. It's hosted by Carla Titus from Wealth and Worth Within, and she breaks down complex financial concepts into actionable steps you can actually use. We're talking about how to control your money, improve your profit, and that is the most important part, to take more pay home without feeling guilty about it. Because let's be honest, that's what we all want, right? The episodes are practical, straightforward, and designed for business owners who don't have finance degrees, but need to make smart financial decisions. I found it super helpful, and I think you will too. So check out the link here in the show notes for this episode, and take time to follow and subscribe to the CEO Financial Clarity Corner wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Hi, this is Rachel, Gordon's podcast assistant, and I want to share the platform Gordon trusts for his own practice, TherapyNotes. TherapyNotes is the highest rated EHR, practice management, and billing software for mental health professionals. It's an all-in-one system for scheduling, notes, billing, and secure client communication. And if you ever need help, their 24/7 customer service is always just a call or email away. Their latest update, Therapy Fuel, uses AI to streamline documentation, generating progress notes, creating contact notes from client messages, and even summarizing client history forms, saving therapists hours every week. Are you ready to give it a try? Head to TherapyNotes.com, click Start My Free Trial, and use the code GORDON to get your first 2 months free. See why Therapy Notes is the most trusted EHR and the one Gordon chooses for his practice. Please enjoy the rest of the show.
Well, hello, everyone, and welcome again to the podcast. And I'm really glad for you to get to know Dr. Wyatt Fisher. Welcome, Wyatt. Glad you're on here.
Thank you.
Yes. And Wyatt has a podcast of his own, and you'll get to hear some more about that. But as I start with everyone, tell folks a little more about yourself and how you've landed where you've landed.
Sure. I was raised in a divorced home. And so this desire to help couples started when I was young. That's when the seed was planted to try to help families stay together. And as I got older, started going to college, I was just really looking for my calling and felt that pull more and more to work with couples, in the helping profession. And so I went to graduate school and became a couples therapist. So I've been in private practice since 2004. And then my own marriage, I've been married since 1999. We've had our own journey, and we actually went to the brink of divorce and back. And so we're happier now than we ever have been in our marriage. But because we've been through some highs and lows, when I'm working with couples, I definitely am coming from both a personal perspective and a professional perspective.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because I was having a conversation with someone else on another episode, and we were talking about bringing our own experience to the therapy room and how that really kind of lends a lot of credibility, I think, to what we do when we can relate our own personal experience to all of that.
Yeah, I definitely think it piques one's empathy, insight, understanding on not only relating to the couple, but also what they need to move forward. If you've been through challenges yourself, compared to therapists who have had an idyllic marriage and they can't really relate to the struggles. They don't know what it feels like to have those resentments or to feel out of love. And so I think, all therapists can be effective, but especially the ones who have been through some tough times themselves.
Sure. Yeah. So, you've had a long time successful practice. How has it evolved for you over the years?
Yeah, well, I did weekly sessions for many, many years, and I'm still doing some of those. But what I found through the years was that the weekly sessions are not a good match for couples on average, because when couples first reach out for help, they're bleeding, right? I mean, it's a crisis, it's an emergency. One of them is on the brink of divorce. Couples usually don't reach out for help until they're at that stage. So then, considering they're at that stage, and then for them to just come in once a week for 45 minutes was just scratching the surface. We're just barely getting going, and now you have to wait 7 days. So a lot of couples would just kind of lose steam, right? And they would just feel like, I can't keep this up because we're not making fast enough progress. Because between those sessions, now we have 7 days of needs not being met, of conflict. And so it's just too little, too late. And so what I've started doing over the last few years is transitioning to offering intensives. And intensives are where I do anywhere from 6 to 8 sessions in one day. And we take breaks throughout the day. But what I've found is that it's tremendously superior because couples are able to really get into, the core issues, their core resentments, make headway, feel hope. And it's also helpful for the clinician because for me, as other clinicians know, it takes a while to get a handle on a couple and to understand their dynamics and their sensitivities and their history. And so if you're seeing them once a week, it takes a while to become more and more effective. And so if you're seeing them for a concentrated intensive, the learning curve is much faster at how the clinician can become more effective as well.
Right. Yeah. So how do you structure those? Do you have a particular format that you use in doing
I
the
do.
intensives?
I do, yeah. So we start off with just the traditional intake forms. I meet with each partner alone for about 15 to 20 minutes, sometimes a little longer. And I go through their intake forms so I get to know each one more thoroughly in their background and what they're looking for with their problems in the marriage. And then when we come back together, I have them consolidate their top resentments in the marriage. And so I go through common categories of resentments. We talk about resentments, what they are, how they show up. And so usually each partner has 3 to 5, 4 to 6 core resentments. Common categories can be in communication, emotional intimacy, sex, conflict style, trust, addictions, parenting, in-laws, finances, uneven workload, and feeling voiceless. Those are some common ones.
Yeah.
So once they've identified their top resentments, we spend the rest of the intensive going through one at a time with a method I use called the Reunite tool. And the Reunite tool is basically just a way to keep it safe, to talk through those resentments, to get further in those conversations. Because the problem most couples face is we have all these resentments and we can't even talk about them. Because if we try to, things blow up, things escalate, we get defensive.
Right.
So I think of the Reunite tool like when you go bowling and you put the guardrails down so your ball doesn't go in the gutter. That's what the Reunite tool does for the conversation, so we can get a lot further to experience more progress and more hope.
Oh, that's great. Do you, what sort of, once you do the intensive, what sort of follow-up is after that? I mean, do you go to just weekly sessions, or how does that usually work for you?
Yeah, normally there's a couple options. There's a few other things that come with the intensive when someone signs up for an intensive. One thing they can do is schedule another intensive. Our top goal is to get through the resentments. So sometimes it takes 1 day, sometimes it takes 2 full days, sometimes 3. It just depends on how many they have. The other thing that comes with the intensive is 4 weeks in my marriage class I do every week called Tools. And that's where we just learn a new tool every week, such as how do we handle conflicts better? Or how do we develop emotional intimacy? So every week there's a tool. They get 4 weeks in that, and that's a virtual class, and they can keep going beyond that month if they'd like. They also get tickets to my marriage conference I do every quarter in Denver.
Okay, cool.
And so they're able to attend that, and that's a really great concentrated time for them. And then the last piece I recommend, it's not included, but I recommend it, is I teach students on how to become certified relationship coaches, like we talked about before starting this.
Right.
And so I have a team of 3 master coaches who work for me. So I always recommend couples who go through my intensives. Once they've addressed all the resentments, then they work with one of the master certified coaches weekly for their love buckets. And the love buckets are where they put it all together. They give and receive feedback once a week on their top fillers and drainers in the marriage for accountability and long-term change.
Wow. You've put a lot of work into this over the years, it sounds like.
I have. Yeah. It's been a lot of just kind of refining the model.
Yeah, that's interesting because I think, and just thinking about the people that are in this, to usually listen to this podcast, therapists and private practice, and I think it's such a great way to think about expanding your income streams or thinking about diversifying your income by developing a model like you have done. Did you think about it in that way when you started doing it, or?
I did. Yeah. It was both. It was, how can I develop a model that's going to be highly effective for couples, but also that's going to be able to support my family. And so it's kind of a double motive, and it's always a work in progress, right? To see how to structure that. But so that's kind of what I've come up with and been using that for a while. And it's a nice combo because they get the concentrated work for the intent, for the resentments. Then they get the follow up with me for the conference and the tools every week, and then the supplemental weekly with one of the coaches. So combined, it's very comprehensive, and it helps pay for the bills.
From unsolved mysteries to unexplained phenomena, from comedy gold to relationship fails, Amazon Music's got the most ad-free top podcasts, included with Prime. Because the only thing that should interrupt your listening is, well, nothing. Download the Amazon Music app today.
Before we had AT&T Business Wireless coverage, our delivery GPS wasn't the most reliable. Once our driver had to do a 14-point turn to get back on route. A 14-point turn! An influencer even live-streamed the whole thing. Not good for business. Now with AT&T Business Wireless, routes are updating on the fly and deliveries are on time. And the influencer did get us 53 new followers, though.
AT&T Business Wireless. Connecting changes everything.
Yeah. So with the conference, how is that structured for you? Are people coming in from all over the country, or how does that work?
Yeah, normally, since I'm based in Colorado, I would say 90% of the couples are Colorado couples. Usually with any marriage conference, people look for what's local first.
Mm-hmm.
I'll have couples fly in from other states. One couple flew in from Alaska one time or from California. So it happens, but it's the majority are Colorado couples.
Mm-hmm.
I hold it at a hotel in Arvada, which is a suburb of Denver. And it's 8:30 in the morning till 4 o'clock. And it's 6 sessions where I present for about 45 minutes. Then there's a 30-minute break for the couples to apply what we just talked about.
Mm-hmm.
And then during those breakout sessions, I walk around and answer questions. So it's a really powerful, concentrated day.
Right.
And actually, the material they're learning in the tools class, that curriculum repeats every 12 weeks. And so in the conference, they learn all those tools in one day. So it reinforces the same material they're learning in the tools.
Yeah.
So usually both are helpful because it's nice to have the concentrated day, but it's helpful to review those tools over and over until they become their new normal.
Yeah. So do you mind sharing some examples of some of the tools, just kind of spark people's interest? Got my interest anyway.
Yeah. Well, I've already talked briefly about the Reunite tool. That's the biggest of the tools for resentments. To get over resentment, normally couples need 2 things. They need to feel heard. I need to feel like my partner's owning something. They're empathizing with their impact on me. They're making an apology for the piece they're owning. The Reunite tool accomplishes that. And then I need to see some changes over time for me to really forgive, my partner. And that change over time, that comes through the love bucket tool. So that's what they would be doing with the master coach afterwards. The love buckets is one of my favorite tools because what you do is you identify the top 3 fillers you need to feel loved. So love languages. It's not limited to the 5 love languages. There's actually 9 that I use that are common, but it's not exhaustive. People can pick any love language, anything that makes them feel loved. So they have to pick 3. That's the fillers. And then they have to pick 3 drainers. And the drainers are the things your partner does that makes you feel negative toward them. Things that make you feel neglected, feelings get hurt, what frustrate you. So you put that together. So I have 3 fillers and 3 drainers, and so does my spouse. And then we get in this routine through the sessions of giving and receiving feedback. And the feedback you ask per item per week is, what's my number for the week? You're going to get a number. What did I do right? And how can I improve?
Wow.
And that combination of the quantitative data, because you're getting numbers on how well you did, plus the qualitative data from what did I do right? How can I improve? Through that process, it's really powerful, not just for accountability, long-term change, but also for refinement. Because I'm a big believer that the biggest asset for your marriage for improvement is your partner. Because they know you like no one else. You know them like no one else. So if we can create some safe structures to give and receive feedback and grow from that feedback, we're going to sharpen each other and make each other better versions of ourselves. And the love buckets, in my experience, is one of the best tools to facilitate that.
Yeah, that's brilliant. I love that. Yeah, I know being a couples therapist myself, that's one of the things that couples seem to be hungry for, is just having homework,
Yeah.
and things that they can actually do. And so I think that having that framework is just, I love that. I love that idea.
Yeah, and a lot of it's the mindset you're training them on as well, because in the beginning, couples can't do love buckets on their own because they'll get defensive with the feedback, or they'll get defeated. Why try? I'm never going to make you happy. Or they'll argue over the number, like, what? I should get a better number this week. That's not right. So there's a lot of learning curves happening, right? I'm learning what I need. I'm learning how to define what I need. I'm learning how to give you feedback and give you a number. I'm learning what you need, how you're defining that. And then I'm learning how to start doing what you want and stop doing what you don't want. And that's the biggest learning curve of all for all of us.
Oh, sure.
Right? And then sustaining those gains.
Yeah.
So what I say with couples is the goal is to get to the number system is to get to plus 20 and above, net number plus 20 and above. The best possible number is a plus 30. The worst possible is a negative 30 after you add up all the numbers. So once you get to plus 20 and above, that shows you're cracking the code and you're figuring it out. And then once they do that several sessions in a row, then they're ready to start slowly phasing out.
Yeah.
So it gives them a finish line, which is nice.
Yeah, that's good.
Right?
That's good.
Yeah. Because normally with couples therapy, it's like, are we going to do this forever? How do we know when we're done?
Yeah. I love that. I love that. So, well, Wyatt, I guess we need to be mindful of our time, but tell folks how they can find you, and if they're interested in maybe learning more about your structure and what you do, and maybe even participating in some of it.
Sure. Yeah. So my podcast is one of the best ways to learn more. My podcast is the Dr. Wyatt Marriage Podcast. So definitely check out the podcast. My website is drwyattfisher.com. And my social handle is at Dr. Wyatt Fisher. And I'm pretty active on the major social channels.
Yeah. And now I was watching some of his YouTube videos earlier, and so they really are well done. And so really doing a great job with all of that, which I appreciate.
Thank you.
So, and we'll have links, of course, in the show notes and the show summary for people to get to it easily. So any parting thoughts that you have before we conclude?
Would these be parting thoughts to other therapists or to couples?
Yeah. Well, both. Yeah.
If I'm speaking to therapists, I would say when you're working with a couple, start by addressing their resentments first. Don't start with date nights. Don't start with how to increase intimacy. Start with resentments first, because as long as there's active resentments, nothing else is going to go well.
All right.
If I'm speaking to couples, I would say when you go to your couples therapy session, do not be pointing the finger at your partner. And that's what couples want to do. Right? I'm holding this stuff in until we get to our next therapy session. And now I'm spending the whole session pointing the finger. And now my partner's pointing the finger back at me. And now we're just fighting in the session. So instead, think about how can I bring up my concern with my partner in the therapy session without pointing the finger at them. Because the blame, right? The blame is just so common for couples. But it's one of the biggest mistakes couples make in therapy is I get the session and then I just blame my partner.
Yeah, it's that whole, to put it in kind of the terms of how the Gottmans put it, is that whole cycle of criticism and defensiveness that just sabotages everything within a relationship.
Yep. So instead of saying, yeah, they really suck at giving me empathy. You did such a bad job this week. Instead of that, it would be, hey, can we talk about empathy this week? Because we're not very good at it. We need some help. Yeah. That's the way to bring it up. So it's neutral. Right. It's a we instead of you.
Right. Yeah. Whole new language for couples. Yeah. Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Wyatt, again, great to have you. And hopefully we'll have some more conversations here soon.
Sure. Thank you for having me.
Well, again, a big thanks to Dr. Wyatt Fisher for joining me on the podcast, and hope this gave you some inspiration of maybe thinking about the ways in which you might have your own model and share that with the world and help you in your practice. I know, having been in practice as long as I have, we have a certain way of doing things. And I think a lot of times it lends itself to maybe creating a model that's unique. Yeah. So be sure and reach out to him. You can find the links here in the show notes and the show summary to find out more about his work. And also, I want to say a big thanks to our sponsor, one of our sponsors of the podcast, TherapyNotes. They are the leading electronic health record system for mental health providers. They're who I use in my practice and absolutely couldn't operate my practice without them. I hope you'll check them out. You can go to practiceoftherapy.com/therapynotes and use the promo code Gordon, just GORDON, and you can try them out for 2 months for free. So it's a win-win situation. And also, before you go, if you want more financial clarity in your business, make sure you subscribe to the CEO Financial Clarity Corner podcast. It's packed with practical insights on managing your money, increasing profit, and paying yourself what you deserve. And there'll be links here in the show notes. It's trust me, you will see your future self and thank yourself for that. Be sure and check that out. So take care, folks, and we'll be back again for another episode of the Practice of Therapy podcast. You have been listening to the Practice of Therapy podcast with Gordon Brewer, part of the PsychCraft network of podcasts. Please visit us at practiceoftherapy.com for more information, resources, and tools to help you in starting, building, and growing your private practice. And if you haven't done so already, please sign up to receive the free Private Practice Startup Guide at practiceoftherapy.com. And to find more great podcasts like this one, please visit the PsychCraft Network at psychcraftnetwork.com. The information in this podcast is intended to be accurate and authoritative concerning the subject matter covered. It is given with the understanding that neither the hosts, guests, or producers are rendering legal, accounting, or clinical advice. And if you need help in these areas, be sure to find the right professional to help you with these things.
I earned my degree online at Arizona State University. I chose to get my degree at ASU because I knew that I'd get a quality education, they were recognized for excellence, and that I would be prepared for the workforce upon graduating. To be associated with ASU, both as a student and alum, it makes me extremely proud, and having experienced the program, I know now that I'm set up for success. Learn more at asuonline.asu.edu.